The time is precisely 1:15 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here's news edited by Catherine Pereira and read by Chandima Veerakorn. Headlines. The President discusses digitisation, climate change with Commonwealth Chief. The Ministry of Power and Energy says that there is no fuel shortage in the country. 45,800 dengue patients have been reported from the island. The Bakery Owners Association reduces the price of a 450-gram loaf bread and other bakery products by 10 rupees each. The Prime Minister says that the Parliament will enter into a special prospect by opening a budgetary office. In foreign news, US and China pledged to stabilize tense relationship after talks. Local news in detail. President Ranil Wickremesinghe has called on the Commonwealth Secretary-General Patricia Scotland during his official visit to the United Kingdom. The focus of the discussion fell on the digitisation programmes, measures to broaden the Commonwealth's partnerships, as well as Commonwealth programmes such as Commonwealth for Climate and Blue Charter to enhance support to member countries. Sharing his strategies for addressing climate change, Sri Lankan President also explored the potential involvement of the Commonwealth in these efforts. The Ministry of Power and Energy says that there is no fuel shortage in the country. There are sufficient fuel stocks in the Petroleum Corporation and the Lanka IOC company. The ministry also said that measures have been taken to distribute the fuel stocks requested by the filling stations soon. Meanwhile, a ship carrying 9,000 metric tons of petrol of octane 95 will arrive in the island on Thursday. The Bakery Owners Association has reduced the price of a 450-gram loaf of bread and other bakery products by 10 rupees each. The price reduction comes into effect at midnight today. Chairman of the association, M.K. Jayawardena, said that a loaf of bread can be sold at 100 rupees if they allow to import wheat flour again. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing with local stories, the Dengue Eradication Unit says that at present more than 45,800 dengue patients have been reported. 50% of dengue cases have been identified from the Western Province. Specialist doctor of the unit, Nalin Ariratna, said that dengue patients have also been reported from the Kurunegala and Batticaloa districts. He requested the public to clean their premises in order to prevent the spread of dengue menace. The draft bill on budgetary office has taken up for debate today. It was presented by the Minister Cecil Premajantha. Opening the debate, Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena said that the Parliament will enter into a special prospect by opening a budgetary office. Opportunities will be made to investigate budget estimates deeply through the establishment of this office. Parliamentarian Iran Wickramaratne said that they pointed out the need of an office in 2001. It is a significant fact of establishing a budgetary office even in delay. The group who bankrupted the country have arrived in the island again. The confidential is essential to bring investors. Minister Mahinda Amaravira said that there is fertilizer shortage in the country. He stated in Parliament that paddy purchasing process will begin from today. A special discussion will be conducted to provide solutions to the problems prevailing at the Gampaha Ayurveda University at the then parliamentary complex at 3 p.m. Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa said that the students of the university are facing many hardships due to the many shortcomings at the university. To conclude the local news, the headlines again. The President discusses climate change with Commonwealth Chief. The Ministry of Power and Energy says that there is no fuel shortage in the country. 45,800 dengue patients have been reported from the island. The Bakery Owners Association reduces the price of a 450-gram loaf of bread and other bakery products by 10 rupees each. The Prime Minister says that the Parliament will enter into a special prospect by opening a budgetary office. That ends the local news for now.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
On the main news story, $40 million has been earned as an income from the export of agro products last year. The Ministry of Agriculture says that gherkin, ambul kesel, mango, pineapple, pepper, moringa leaves and jumbo peanuts have been exported. Most of the crops produced by the projects initiated by the ministry will be exported. That ends the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Taking a look at Watchlight, the residents have requested the relevant officials to recommence the bus number 175 Kollupitiya-Kalanimulla route, which was halted in the night time due to COVID pandemic earlier. They also pointed out that employees who are serving in night time are facing many hardships due to the non-operation of this service. This is for the attention of the superintendent of the Angoda depot. That ends Watchlight. Moving on to the world news, the headlines. US and China pledged to stabilize tense relationships after talks. Titanic tourist submersible rescuers scan ocean as clock ticks. Global network of sadistic monkey torture exposed by BBC. The US and China have pledged to stabilize their tense relationship following US Secretary of State Antony Blinken's two-day visit to Beijing. Mr. Blinken met China's President Xi Jinping for talks yesterday, restarting high-level communications between the rival superpowers. Mr. Xi said they had made progress, while Mr. Blinken indicated that both sides were open to further talks. But the top US diplomat made clear that there remained major differences. His sustained communication at senior levels is the best way to responsibly manage differences and ensure that competition does not veer into conflict. Mr. Blinken told reporters after the 35-minute meeting at the Great Hall of the People on Tiananmen Square. US and Canadian search teams are racing against time to find a tourist submarine that went missing during a dive to the Titanic's wreck on Sunday. 5 people were on board when contact with the small sub was lost about an hour and 45 minutes into its dive. The rescue operation is continuing overnight in the mid-Atlantic, but there had been no sign so far of the vessel. Government agencies, both countries, navies and commercial deep-sea firms are all helping the rescue operation. As of last afternoon, it was thought the crew members had roughly 4 days' worth of oxygen left. A year-long BBC investigation has uncovered a sadistic global monkey torture ring stretching from Indonesia to the United States. The World Service found hundreds of customers in the US, UK and elsewhere paying Indonesians to torture and kill baby long-tailed macaws on film. The torture ring began live on YouTube before moving to private groups on the encrypted messaging app Telegram. Police are now pursuing the buyers and several arrests have already been made. BBC journalists went undercover in one of the main Telegram torture groups where hundreds of people gathered to come up with extreme torture ideas and commissioned people in Indonesia and other Asian countries to carry them out. To end the world news, the headlines again. US and China pledged to stabilize tense relationship after talks. Titanic tourist submersible rescuers scan ocean as clock ticks. Global network of sadistic monkey torture exposed by BBC. That ends the world news.
Development News is brought to you by
For women from Desha Sri Lanka for housemaids in Kuwait, Oman and Saudi Arabia for ages 23 to 58 years. Contact number 037 7500 500.
And on development news, a new program to strengthen food security in the Hambantota district will be implemented. The World Bank has provided 470 million rupees in this regard. The government has planned to complete this program within 18 months. That ends the development news.
Vacancies for women from Sri Lanka for housekeepers, home cooks, caretakers and home nurses in Kuwait, Oman, Saudi Arabia and Singapore for ages 23 to 57 years. Salaries starting from 156,000 rupees. Interviews with foreign won. Come whether you have a passport or not. Branches Colombo, Kurunagala, Anuradhapura and Matara. Contact number 0377 500 500.
Moving on to sports news, New Zealand women cricket team will arrive in the island on Thursday for match tour for the first time. The tournament will begin on the 27th of this month. It includes 3 one-day matches and 3 T20 matches. One-day cricket tournament will be held in Galle, while the T20 matches to be played at the P. Sarah Oval Stadium. That ends the sports news.
Go ekatiyana youth ekat life ekේ change ekat niyameta set wenna as wahagena dakapu hina habe karanna youth ekat niyameta set wenna friendship එක menna.
The all new NSB Ithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
On business news, the Poultry Farmers Association says that the poultry products will reduce in few days. Chairman of the association, Ajit Gunasekara, requested the government to provide opportunities to import maize. If the interest of banks is reduced, it will be a concession to the small and medium-scale farmers. That ends the business news.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekatiyana youth ekat life ekේ change ekat niyameta set wenna as wahagena dakapu hina habe karanna youth ekat niyameta set wenna friendship එක menna.
The all new NSB Ithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
And on the economic news, treasury bills worth over 110 million rupees will be issued. These bills will be issued maturing on 91, 182 and 364 days. The auction will be conducted tomorrow. These bills can be purchased from the primary dealers and from the licensed commercial banks. That ends economic news.
Weather report.
And finally, we take a look at the weather report. Several spells of showers will occur in western, Sabragamur, central and north provinces and in Galle, Matara and Puttalam districts. A few showers will occur in North Central Province and in Kurunagala district. Showers or thundershowers may occur at a few places in Uva Province and in Ampara and Batiklo districts during the evening or at night. Strong winds, about 40 to 45 kilometers per hour, can be expected at times in western slopes of the Central Hills, northern and north central provinces and in Puttalam, Hambantota and Trincomalee districts. That ends the weather report. And to conclude this bulletin of news, we take a look at the headlines again. The President discusses digitization, climate change with Commonwealth Chief. The Ministry of Power and Energy says that there is no fuel shortage in the country. 45,800 dengue patients have been reported from the island. The Bakery Owners Association reduces the price of a 450-gram loaf of bread and other bakery products by 10 rupees each. The Prime Minister says that the Parliament will enter into a special prospect by opening a budgetary office. In foreign news, US and China pledged to stabilize a tense relationship after talks. With that, we conclude this bulletin of news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.